These are 15 website settings that could be destroying your Google rankings if they're not turned on or optimized properly. I'm going to show you where to find these settings and how to fix them so your website can be set up for success on Google. And make sure to stick around because the 9th setting on this list, over 90% of websites miss it, and it could be what's causing you to not rank on Google. And if any of these settings helped you, make sure to leave a like on the video and let's get into it. Okay, so to show you guys where these settings are and how to optimize them, I'm going to be using my website as the example here. We're in Webflow, but where you can find these settings is pretty much consistently the same across all major website builders. So whatever website builder you're using to optimize these settings, just follow the steps in the video and you should be able to navigate to them very easily. So the first setting that we're going to be optimizing is the page name and title. The page name and title is important because it tells Google, among other things, what the page is about, and it will rank it accordingly. Again, among other factors, but the page title is very important. And so to navigate to the page title, you're gonna go into a specific page, come to pages here. This is in Webflow. Go to the page settings and you'll change the page name and the title tag of that page. So for example, this is a course page. If I wanted to call it the SEO course of a lifetime. Let's say that's the keyword that I'm trying to rank for on Google. I would change my page name to the SEO course of a lifetime, but the most important part is the title tag. The page name is how it's going to show up in your navigation or in the back end of your website. The title tag is the most important part because that's what's going to show up on Google. The second setting that you want to optimize, since we're already here, it's going to be in the page settings, is the slug. This is the URL. So if I copy this URL in a different tab here and I navigate to it, it goes to that page. So you want to have the URL slug of this specific page, have your keyword that you're trying to rank in it as well. And as a rule of thumb, if whatever you're changing your title tag, your page title to, you could just change the URL slug to that title as well. If you have multiple words, which you probably will for a URL slug, you want to have a dash in between each word. So if I quickly copy this and I paste it into the slug, the SEO course of a lifetime, it'll automatically put a dash in between it because that's how Google reads a URL. But if it doesn't, make sure that you have a dash in between each of the words rather than just making it one big word. Now, the third thing, which I'll continue here in the page settings, is your meta description. So if you're trying to rank a page on Google, and again, you want to do this throughout all the pages in your website, if you want all of them to rank on Google, is fill out this meta description. So the meta description, again, is what Google is going to pick up on a particular page because it's going to show Google more about that page, and it'll show in when someone searches up a keyword and your website pops up and they see it, it'll give them kind of a brief rundown of what that page is about. So that's the meta description. Make it 3 to 4 sentences long. It doesn't need to be that long, but have your keyword in there at least 2 to 3 times. Now, the fourth setting that we're going to make sure is turned on within our page settings is Sitemap Indexing. You want to make sure that this is on. That way Google can pick up on your page and the website builder allows Google to index that specific page. We turn this off on our ad landing pages, but any other page on the website, you want to make sure that this is on. Now, the fifth and sixth setting, I'm going to be showing you back to back because they can be found in the same place. That is your image file size and your image alt text. The file size of your images are very important because if you have lots of images on your page, which you should for SEO purposes and user engagement, they're going to slow down the loading speed of the website if the file sizes are too big, which you don't want. You don't want people coming to your website and waiting for it to load because they'll just click off of it right away. Image alt tags, this is important because it also shows Google what an image is about, and that contributes to the ranking of a page. So I'll show you right here. For example, in our line of clients that we work with, we have their logos, and we can see here the image is 2 kilobytes. As a rule of thumb, images on your website should be under 1 megabyte. They don't have to be a large file size. And if you do have images that are high resolution and want to compress them to be a lower file size, you can use something that we use all the time. It's called iloveimage.com. And you can use it to compress images. It's really simple, it's completely free, and it takes seconds. So I'll leave the link to that down below. The next is the alt text on an image. So in the image settings, wherever your website builder is, you'll fill out the alt text of the image. So we said a local SEO agencies Vancouver, that's a keyword that we're trying to rank for. So have the keyword in the alt text for each of your images. You don't have to make it this obvious. We just put the keyword straight up right in here. You could say something like logo for an HVAC company that we do SEO for in Vancouver. That is a descriptive alt text that also has the keyword in it. The seventh setting that we're going to optimize is our social share image. This is the image that pops up beside your website whenever you share your website link or a page to your website on a specific platform where a more detailed description comes up under that link. So that's typically on text messages, on social media, or online forums. So to find your social share image or open graph image, you'll come to your page settings, so back where we were before, and in Webflow, you're gonna put a open graph image URL in here, and that's gonna be the image that pops up. So for Webflow, you're gonna come to whatever image you wanna use. If you don't have one, just simply upload an image. And let's say that we wanna use this image. We can see that this is the file or URL that we're gonna be using. So you're gonna copy that, come back to the page that you wanna use that image on, and simply click this here. And that's the image that pops up. So as you can see here, it gives us a preview of what this page is going to look like when we share it on a specific platform like social media, or if it ranks on specific features on Google, this is what pops up, and it's a custom image, and Google loves customization on your website. So make sure that you have this filled out in your settings. The eighth setting that you want to have filled out is your favicon. The favicon is the little icon that shows up beside your page title in a browser tab. I'll put a quick screenshot of what that looks like here, but you wanna have this filled out because if you don't, it'll simply revert to the website builder's basic favicon. For Squarespace, I think it's a cube. For Webflow, it's like a little W icon. And simply having this filled out shows users of your website that you're a legit website, this is a legit business. It just adds to your trust and authority. To find the favicon settings in Webflow or most other website builders, you're gonna go into the website settings. So not the page setting, but the website settings. And you can see here in general in Webflow, it shows us favicon and then web clip. So you wanna fill out both of these here. Most of the times a website builder will just give you the option to do a favicon, but either way, whatever options it gives you, simply fill those out. Something to note here in Webflow and some other website builders, it has specific requirements for how big a file size can be for the favicon or web clip. So you can see here, the favicon has to be 32 by 32 pixels. The web clip has to be 256 by 256 pixels. Now the ninth setting is the most important of all. I can't stress this enough, and it's not even in your website. What you wanna do is go to Google Search Console, and we're gonna be uploading our sitemap into Google. This is very important because unless you do this, Google will not index your site, or it will only index a couple of your pages, mainly your homepage. And you want to index all of your pages on Google ideally, or at least the pages that you need on Google. And so to do this, you're going to go to Google Search Console. The URL is search.google.com, and you're going to upload your domain into Google. And this is simple. It gives you the steps, the instructions to do so. I'm not going to go through that whole thing here in this video, but you can look up a tutorial on YouTube to do it. It takes 2 minutes. So to upload your sitemap into Google, you'll go into the Sitemaps tab on the left-hand side of your property. And at the top here, type in sitemap.xml and submit this sitemap. You can see I've already done it here, so it's discovered all of my pages, but there it is. Once this is done, it could take a day to 2 days to fully index, and then it'll give you a report on the pages that are being indexed, which is actually our 10th setting that we need to optimize. We need to make sure here in Google Search Console, all of your pages are being indexed by Google. To find out which pages are and are not being indexed by Google, you're gonna go to the Pages tab here on the left-hand side of your property. You can see here that I have 13 pages that are indexed and 4 pages that are not indexed. So we can take a look at which pages are not indexed by looking at crawled, not currently indexed, or discovered, not currently indexed. So let's check out the crawled, not currently indexed. We have 2 pages here, and it looks like these are both blog posts. So if I go to this page in Google, you can see this is one of my blog posts, and I probably want to have this indexed on Google. So to do that, you'll copy the URL, you'll paste it in the inspect any URL. It should take a minute to load here, and you can see the URL is not on Google, which is not good. I want to have this on Google. So you'll click on request indexing, and it'll take a minute or two. So I might pause the video until this fully loads and then show you what to do from here. Okay, so it finally loaded, and as you can see, the indexing has been requested. You can click dismiss on this and it should show up on Google in the next couple of days. Now, this isn't the last step. You want to come back in 2 to 3 days and make sure this went through properly. And if you still don't see it showing up on Google, I would recommend you put internal links on your website to that specific page, because that'll encourage the readability of that page by Google, help the algorithm, and get that page shown up. The 11th setting on your website is something that not a lot of people consider when it comes to SEO, but it does make an impact on the functionality and user experience of your website, which is a contributing factor to how well your website ranks on Google. And that is having a custom 404 page. And this can take you less than 5 minutes to set up. I'll show you how to do it here in Webflow. You'll go to your pages on this tab on the left-hand side. You'll go to 404. On some websites, it doesn't have a 404 under utility pages. You'll have to create a separate page, design that page, which again should take you no longer than 5 minutes. And then you'll have to direct your 404 to that page. So you might have to look up a tutorial depending on what website builder you're in. But otherwise on Webflow, you'll go into 404 pages. And as you can see, I've set up this custom 404 page. It's kind of funny. It's just a page where someone goes to a broken link or a link that does not exist on your website. This is the page that it redirects them to. And you want to redirect people on this page to another part of your website or somewhere that they can get help if they need it. Because if you have a big website with tons of pages, there's a chance that an old link that is no longer on your website, someone is going to visit that link. And if they do, this 404 page will pop up, and you want to leave ideally your contact info here or a link to a different page. We have our navigation and footer so they can go to any page they need or to get in contact with us if they're looking for valuable information that the page clearly does not have. So for example, if I go to a page on my website, which you can't see me doing here, but I'm going into the URL and typing in a random slug into the browser, it'll go to this page automatically. And this page ideally will redirect someone to get the information that they're looking for. Speaking about broken links, the 12th setting that you want to optimize on your website are any broken links that you have on your website or links that don't exist anymore, because these will show up on Google Search Console, and you want to delete these links to these pages if you can, or any links that are on your page or text links that link to a page that is broken, because that also contributes to how well your website ranks on Google and your overall authority score. So to do that, what you can do is use any of these free tools, which I've pulled up here, just Broken Link Checker, as you can see. There's so many free tools that will analyze your entire website in minutes. I wouldn't recommend necessarily one of these free tools. I would recommend you use 2 to 3 of these tools, because sometimes they miss a couple links and you want to get the full scope of how many broken links are on your website. So you'll just go into one of these tools, type in your URL, click Find Broken Links, and it'll pop up all of the broken links that are on your website. Then what you'll do is go to those pages where the broken link exists and fix that button, fix that link so it links to the correct page, or you just take that link off fully. Getting towards the end of this list, the 13th setting that you want to have turned on your website, and this is a non-negotiable, this is a must, is your SSL certificate. Most modern domain hosts these days will just automatically give you a SSL certificate when you sign up with them and you buy a domain and then you register it with a website. So most of the time you don't have to worry because this happens automatically. But in some cases, websites, or I should say domain hosts, don't give you the SSL certificate right away. You have to purchase it separately. If you don't have an SSL certificate, which this is an easy way to test it, a page like this will pop up on your website. It's got a lock, it's got a hazard warning. So before someone comes to your website, this pops up, which you do not want, because if someone sees this when they come to your website, like deceptive site ahead, or your connection is not private, that is a big red flag for people. So you want to make sure that whatever domain host you are using, that it gives you an SSL certificate. And if you don't have an SSL certificate, go into your domain host or wherever you have your DNS records, wherever you bought your domain from, and see how you can purchase with them an SSL certificate to have with your domain, so that you do not get this error message when someone comes to your website, because that will significantly decrease the rankings on Google. Now, the 14th setting that you want to have updated or optimized on your website consistently and at all times is your plugins or apps that are connected to the website. If you have a lot of plugins like a WordPress website would, or apps that are connected to your website, you want to make sure that these apps are updated on a consistent basis so that your website doesn't get bogged down by these unupdated or old plugins, which happens a lot on WordPress sites specifically. And if you have plugins that you are not using, you want to make sure that you delete those plugins as soon as you possibly can, because WordPress websites typically get bogged down by a lot of these plugins. It slows the website speed down, which is not good for your Google rankings, as we've seen earlier on in this video. Now, that does not mean that other website builders or CMS platforms don't fall victim to plugins slowing their website down. This can happen to almost any website builder. So for example, in Webflow, there's an app marketplace, and I could have a ton of these apps plugged into my website that I just never use, but still slow the website down. So you wanna make sure that any apps or external plugins that you're using on your website or you're not using on your website, you take off or optimize or update consistently. Now, the 15th and final setting that you need to have complete for SEO purposes on your website are links to your website on other websites. In other words, backlinks. And we're specifically talking here about toxic backlinks. If your website has a high quantity of toxic backlinks, that will decrease your authority score on Google and consequently rank your website lower on Google searches. To find out if you have toxic backlinks on your website, there are a ton of free tools that will analyze the backlinks to your website for you, which you could find just doing a simple Google search, free backlink analyzer. We use SEMrush. This is a paid tool. And what you can do is go to Backlink Audit on the left-hand tab here. This is our old domain that we don't use anymore. But as you can see here, it analyzes my domain. It shows me the number of toxic backlinks that I have, which I can then click on the domain, copy and paste it, and you can go to whois.com, and you can see I've already searched it up here, but qa-animals.info. Typically, these toxic backlinks will just be these random websites that don't have anything to do with your business, and it'll give you a list, ideally, of the contact information for the owner of that domain. In most cases, you won't find the email or contact info for a domain owner right away. In some cases, the website doesn't even exist anymore, which in that case, you don't have to worry about it. But ultimately, you do want to find backlinks that are toxic, that are linking back to your website that still exist. Contact the owners of that website, either by going into the Whois records or into their contact page on that website and asking them to remove that backlink so that the backlinks that you do have on your website are clean and not toxic and won't affect your authority score on Google. So that concludes my list for the 15 settings that could be destroying your Google rankings. If you missed any of these settings before this video and this helped you at all, feel free to leave a like below. And if there's any settings that I missed not in this video that you think should be optimized on a website, comment them down below and I'll catch you in the next one.